Let me tell you something about men. Men are simple, but they ain't easy. And when I say simple, I mean the things that move them, shake them, and stay with them are not complicated, but they sure are powerful. And when you learn how those things work, when you understand what makes a man's heart stir, even when he's not around you, when you understand what makes him lie in his bed at night, thinking about you, craving you, missing you like crazy, then you don't just become another woman in his life. You become unforgettable. Now, ladies, here's the truth. A man doesn't miss you because of what you give him all the time. He doesn't miss you just because of your beauty, because let's be real, beauty is everywhere. A man doesn't miss you simply because you spend all your time with him, because truth be told, the more you flood him with your presence, the more he gets used to it and the less he values it. What makes a man miss you is not just what you bring to the table, but how you carry yourself when you're not at his table. It's the balance of presence and absence, the way you leave him with something to think about, something to feel, something to long for. See, here's where most women miss it. They think the more they give, the more a man will appreciate them. But a man doesn't miss excess, he misses essence. He doesn't crave what's always available, he craves what touches his soul, and then steps back, giving him space to realize he can't live without it. Missing is born in the gap. Missing is created. When there's a space between what he experienced with you and the next time he can have it again, that space is where his mind starts playing back your laugh, your smile, the way you made him feel. When you break it down for you, when you meet a man, yes, attraction is there, the energy is there, he's excited, he's intrigued. But if you flood him too fast, if you smother him with too much too soon, you remove the room for longing. Missing requires mystery. Missing requires memory. Missing requires moments that he can't just recreate with anybody else. A man misses a woman who has the ability to create an emotional fingerprint on his heart. And what is that fingerprint? It's the combination of confidence, respect, and energy. When a man leaves your presence, he doesn't just remember your face, he remembers how he felt being around you. Did he feel like a man? Did he feel admired? Did he feel respected? Did he feel at peace? Did he feel inspired? Because if he did, then trust me, he's going to be sitting in his car on his way home thinking, man, I can't wait to see her again. But here's the kicker. He doesn't feel that way if you hand it all over on a silver platter without him having to do anything for it. Men are wired to value what they pursue, what they work for, what they feel they've earned. So when you hold your ground, when you don't rush, when you let him step up, chase, call, plan, invest, he begins to associate you with effort, and effort creates value. And value makes him miss you when you're not around. Ladies, missing is not built in your presence. Missing is built in your absence. But it's not just any absence. It's the kind of absence that comes after presence that left a mark. You can't make him miss you if you never gave him something unforgettable to begin with. But once you do, once you give him those moments that feel rare, real, and different, then stepping back becomes your power move. And let me tell you something about stepping back. Stepping back doesn't mean being cold. It doesn't mean playing games. It doesn't mean ghosting him or ignoring him just to prove a point. No, stepping back means you have a life and you're not afraid to live it. It means he sees you glowing whether he's there or not. He sees you working on your dreams, spending time with your friends, laughing, traveling, creating joy without him always being in the picture. That's when a man starts to say, wait a second, she's amazing and she's not sitting around waiting on me. I better step up because if I don't, somebody else will. See, when you tie your entire identity to a man, he doesn't miss you. He takes you for granted. But when you tie your identity to yourself, your purpose, your joy, your growth, then he starts to look at you differently. He realizes you are a prize, not just because of how you treat him, but because of how you treat yourself. That kind of woman is magnetic. That kind of woman makes a man think about her when she's not even trying. And let's talk about respect for a second, because respect is fuel for missing. When you set boundaries, when you make it clear what you will and will not accept, when you show him that you love yourself enough to stand firm, a man may not always like it in the moment, but it sticks with him. He goes home and thinks, man, she don't play games. She got standards. She carries herself like a queen. And the moment you're not around, that respect becomes longing. He starts to miss the feeling of being around a woman who makes him level up. Now, here's the part most women overlook. Men don't miss perfection. Men miss authenticity. They miss the woman who laughs from her soul, who cracks jokes, who shows her quirks, who's not afraid to be real. Because while attraction might bring him close, authenticity is what makes him remember you when you're gone. Think about it. Anybody can be beautiful. Anybody can play the role. But when you show him the real you, flawed, funny, strong, vulnerable, that's when he says, man, I don't get that anywhere else. That's the kind of missing that keeps him hooked. Missing is also tied to how rare you are in his life. When you show up differently from what he's used to, when you don't move like every other woman he's dated, you become the one he can't stop thinking about. If all the others are chasing him, blowing up his phone, begging for attention, and you're the one who's steady, calm, confident, not pressed, that contrast alone makes him crave you. You become the breath of fresh air, the one he can't replace. And let me get real with you. Missing is not about physical presence. It's about emotional presence. A man might see you once a week, but if those moments are filled with laughter, deep conversation, respect, and energy, you're in his head every day. On the other hand, he could see you every single day. But if you don't create moments that hit his soul, he won't miss you because you never gave him space to. So how do you make a man miss you 50 times more? You create experiences, not just encounters. You leave him with moments that feel different, that stick, that echo. You don't always text first. You don't always say yes to last-minute plans. You don't make yourself so predictable that he stops wondering. You create rhythm. Sometimes you're there, sometimes you're not. Sometimes you answer. Sometimes you let him wait now. But as a natural rhythm that comes from you living a full life and not needing him to fill every gap in your world. A man misses a woman who is not afraid to walk away if respect isn't given. A man misses a woman who makes him laugh harder than anybody else. A man misses a woman who inspires him to be better, not by nagging, but by shining. A man misses a woman who makes him feel both safe and challenged. Safe enough to be himself, challenged enough to keep striving. That balance is what keeps his heart tied to you. And ladies, here's a secret. Men don't talk about it much, but they crave peace. The world beats them down every day, their jobs, their struggles, their responsibilities. When they find a woman who brings peace into their life, instead of chaos, they miss her like oxygen. When you're gone, he feels the difference. He feels the quiet strength, the calm, the support that you carried. That's when he realizes, I can't lose her. She's not just love, she's home. Missing is not about distance. It's about impact. It's about what you leave behind in his heart and mind when you're not standing next to him. You want him to miss you 50 times more. Then don't just give him your time. Give him experiences he can't shake off. Don't just give him attention. Give him admiration that makes him feel like a man. Don't just give him your body. Give him your presence in a way that inspires his soul. And then step back. Let him process. Let him chase. Let him feel the emptiness of your absence after the fullness of your presence. That's the formula. That's the secret. That's how you make him miss you in a way that keeps him hooked, loyal, and forever craving more. A man doesn't miss excess, he misses essence. Because when everything around him is overflowing, when every detail is loud, when every gesture is exaggerated, it loses its weight, it loses its power, it loses the ability to penetrate his soul. Excess overwhelms the senses, but essence leaves an imprint. Essence is what lingers after the moment has passed. It is the fragrance left in the room long after you have walked away. It is the picture that stays in his mind when he closes his eyes at night. When a man thinks about you, he doesn't hold onto the number of texts, the flood of calls, the constant updates of your day. He holds on to the moment you looked at him in silence and he felt peace. He holds on to the sound of your laugh that wasn't rehearsed, the way your energy made the world feel lighter, the way you carried yourself without needing anyone to validate you. He doesn't crave the surface, he craves the substance that makes you unforgettable. The human heart is wired to seek meaning, not noise, and men are no different. A man can be surrounded by attention, by admiration, by people trying too hard, but the one who touches his essence is the one he cannot replace. Essence is not loud. It is subtle. It is rare. It is unforced. It doesn't demand to be noticed. It demands to be remembered. You can give a man excess. You can drown him in availability, but that doesn't mean he will miss you when you're gone. What makes him miss you is the part of you he cannot duplicate with anyone else, the part that cannot be copied or imitated, the essence that is woven into your spirit, into your presence, into your truth. Excess makes him comfortable, but essence makes him restless. When he experiences essence, it doesn't leave him alone. It follows him in his quiet moments. It taps him on the shoulder when he is distracted. It plays in his mind when he least expects it. A man may enjoy excess, but he doesn't ache for it. What he aches for is essence, the unspoken connection that words cannot fully capture. The unexplainable pull that keeps him wondering, keeps him reflecting, keeps him coming back in his thoughts, even when he tries not to. Essence is what roots itself in his memory and makes ordinary moments feel extraordinary. When you give excess, it is consumed and forgotten. But when you give essence, it transforms into memory. Think about how men remember their childhoods, their friendships, their first loves. They don't remember the daily routines. They remember the flashes of essence, the feeling of safety, the spark of joy, the moments that shaped them. That is how the human mind works. It preserves essence and discards excess. In relationships, this is magnified. A man doesn't replay every conversation in his head. He replays the one that shifted his perspective, the one that made him feel seen. He doesn't think about every smile. He remembers the one that came in a moment when he needed hope. He doesn't treasure every touch. He treasures the one that carried meaning, intention, and connection. The irony is that so many people give excess trying to be remembered, when in truth, it is essence that imprints itself. A man doesn't miss the overexposure. He misses the restraint, the elegance, the mystery, the parts of you that weren't immediately handed over, but revealed slowly like chapters in a book he can't put down. He misses what he has to reach for, what he has to earn, what feels valuable, because it is not handed out casually. Essence is what sets you apart, because anyone can give excess, but not everyone carries essence. Essence comes from authenticity. When you are yourself without performance, without the mask, without bending to please, you reveal essence. Men are drawn to authenticity because it feels rare in a world full of imitation. Excess can be manufactured, but essence cannot be faked. That is why a man who has tasted essence cannot forget it, because it was real, it was true, it was alive. It showed him something beyond appearances. It gave him a glimpse of soul. And once a man sees soul, he cannot go back to surface. Excess is temporary, essence is eternal. Excess fades when circumstances change, when time passes, when novelty wears off. Essence deepens with time. It grows stronger the more it is missed. A man might move on from excess easily, but essence anchors itself into his spirit. That is why some people remain unforgettable years after absence, while others are forgotten the moment they leave. It isn't about what you gave in quantity, it is about what you gave in quality. When a man misses essence, it's not just about missing you. It's about missing the version of himself he was when he was with you. That's the power of essence. It awakens something in him. It elevates him. It makes him feel alive in a way that excess never could. Excess entertains him, but essence transforms him. And transformation cannot be undone. Once he experiences it, he longs for it again because it reminded him of who he could be, of what love could feel like, of what connection could mean. That is why essence is addictive. It doesn't just fill a space, it leaves a mark. Excess can come from anyone, but essence is unique to you. That is why it is dangerous to give in quantity while neglecting the quality of presence. A man doesn't crave the woman who gives him everything without pause. He craves the woman whose essence shifts his inner world, whose absence leaves silence that feels too loud, whose presence carries peace that feels too rare. That essence is what he seeks, even when surrounded by options. Essence is restraint, it is mystery, it is energy, it is depth. It is in your silence, your laughter, your presence, your words, your eyes. It is not in how much you give, but in how you give. A man doesn't miss the countless texts, but he misses the one message that carried weight. He doesn't miss the constant presence, but he misses the moments when your presence shifted the entire room. He doesn't miss the excess of attention, but he misses the essence of admiration that made him feel like more than he believed himself to be. Essence is the difference between forgettable and unforgettable, between ordinary and extraordinary, between temporary and eternal. A man misses a woman not because she is constantly around him, not because she overwhelms his space with her presence, but because she knows the value of distance, the wisdom of silence, the strength of not being available every single moment. Distance creates longing, and longing creates value. A man cannot miss what he always has. He only misses what is felt in absence. The space you give him is not emptiness. It becomes the stage where his thoughts replay the best moments, where he begins to feel the echo of your laughter, the warmth of your smile, the weight of your presence. Absence, when held with confidence, becomes a mirror that reflects to him just how deeply you matter. When you are always accessible, always responding instantly, always filling the silence, he doesn't get the chance to miss you because he never has to wonder. Wonder is what fuels desire, what ignites curiosity, what keeps his mind circling back to you when he should be focused elsewhere. The art of missing is born from mystery, from not knowing everything, from not having everything at once. A man's heart is stirred when he is left to think, to recall. It is in those quiet moments alone when he realizes that your absence feels heavier than the presence of others. Distance is not neglect. It is wisdom. It is the gentle reminder that you are not defined by his attention, that your world does not revolve solely around him, that you carry a life, a purpose, an energy that exists outside of his reach. That kind of independence captivates him because it tells him that your value is not dependent on how much you give him, but on the essence of who you are. And when he sees that, he begins to chase, he begins to pursue, he begins to miss what he cannot control, what he cannot predict, what he cannot fully own. Men may not admit it, but they crave challenge. Not difficulty for the sake of games, but the challenge of depth, the challenge of a woman who cannot be reduced to routine. Distance allows him to feel that challenge, to recognize that you are not clinging, that you are not desperate, that you are not seeking constant reassurance. It shows him strength, and strength makes him respect you, and respect makes him miss you in ways that go beyond physical presence. When you are absent, his mind is forced to work. He starts to think, where is she? What is she doing? Who is she with? But more importantly, he starts to realize how much lighter, warmer, better the world feels when you are around. The beauty of absence is that it highlights presence. Just as silence makes music more powerful, absence makes presence unforgettable. If you never allow silence, if you never allow absence, then the song of your love becomes noise. But when you allow space, the moments together become symphonies. This is why the most unforgettable women are not the ones who give endlessly without pause, but the ones who balance closeness with distance, who allow a man to feel their absence just enough to remind him of their worth. These women do not beg for attention. It's simply by not always being there. Their absence speaks louder than someone else's presence because their essence lingers. A man starts to feel the void, not as punishment, but as awakening. It wakes him up to gratitude. It wakes him up to value. It wakes him up to the realization that he cannot take you for granted. Absence gives birth to appreciation. A man who is never given the chance to miss you may enjoy you, but he won't treasure you. Treasure comes from rarity, and rarity cannot exist without distance. Diamonds are valued because they are rare, because they cannot be found everywhere, because they must be sought after. In the same way, your presence is precious when you do not hand it out endlessly without pause. By stepping back, by giving space, you increase value in his eyes, not because you are manipulating him, but because you are teaching him to appreciate what he has. A woman who understands distance is powerful. She is not afraid to step back because she knows her worth is not diminished by absence. She trusts herself enough to know that her presence is memorable, that her essence cannot be erased by silence, that her energy is strong enough to stay with him, even when she is gone. This kind of confidence is magnetic. It doesn't chase, it doesn't beg, it doesn't overcompensate. It simply allows a man to realize in his own time, in his own thoughts, that he misses her more than he imagined. Distance is not about creating insecurity. It's about creating balance. It's about reminding him that love is not constant consumption, but rhythm. Presence and absence together create harmony. Just as night makes us appreciate the day, absence makes a man appreciate your presence. When you know when to step back, when to be silent, when to hold your energy, you give him the gift of longing. And longing is what makes love grow deeper, stronger, and more enduring.